Hi guys, it's Matt from Horror Movie Night here. First and foremost, I want to say happy 75th birthday to Lloyd Kaufman. There is a very good chance that Horror Movie Night would not even exist without Lloyd Kaufman. And to celebrate his birthday, I recently found a hard drive of the original run of the St. Mort Show, which was the first true podcast that I ever did. I'd done a bunch prior, but this was the first one that really lasted more than like 15 episodes and went for almost 3 or 4 years. It's very bad. It's very shoddy. The audio is, and I had a very different sense of humor back then. And while I do have all of those old original episodes available for anybody to listen to, I don't necessarily recommend it, but feel free to subscribe if you want. Just don't judge me too hard. Anyway, this interview was recorded right after Comic-Con, I want to say 2011. We were hanging out in Lloyd's hotel room. He was there because I believe he was filming Return to Nukem High at that point. I could be wrong. But we sat down, and it's a really great conversation. It's one of my favorite conversations that I've ever heard with Lloyd. And not just because I'm the one doing the interview, because this was at a time when I was not a great interviewer. But I like this specific interview because he's not so much playing the character of Lloyd Kaufman as he's actually being Lloyd Kaufman the person and talking about things that are very important to him, like filmmakers' rights. And that's the best thing about Lloyd. We know him as, crazy Uncle Lloyd, but he is also probably one of the biggest fighters for independent filmmakers that we know. So I wanted to celebrate his birthday by releasing this retroactive interview from when I used to do the St. Mort Show. I hope you guys enjoy it. And we're back, and in the studio today we have Lloyd Kaufman.
I love that product. That was such a good. I use it all the time in Tromaville. It really helps us.
He is the co-founder and head director for many of the best of Troma's pictures.
I direct all the heads, except for the Grateful Head.
Now, you are also a big defender of independent film in general.
I'm a supporter of independent film and a fighter for independent film. Independent film is under assault. Independent art is under assault. And independent art is also not just under assault, but under a pepper.
You have done multiple videos on YouTube, which
I've done multiple people, not on YouTube,
that have kind of caught fire of you trying to fight for equality amongst the filmmaking. Well, and that's what I'd really like to talk to you about.
Well, that's a good subject, Matt, and thank you for bringing it up because most people just want me to be a sad clown just waiting to die. I suggest that we are in a serious situation in which the giant devil-worshipping international media conglomerates have gotten the laws that used to protect the public against monopoly. They've gotten those laws killed. They've lobbied down, spending billions of dollars in Washington. The phone companies, the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, and the media conglomerates like Rupert Murdoch and Sony and Viacom. And as a result, we have Law and Order and CSI on every TV channel. We have little or no genuinely independent art anywhere that's easily accessible, and we are subject to eat, pray, love, quality, and baby food art, and that is a disaster. The other point that's very, very important to understand is that net neutrality is the last democratic medium, the internet, which thankfully benefits from net neutrality, allows all of us to have equal access, equal power, and equal revenue if we have something valuable on the internet. And again, these same evil forces are down in Washington, D.C., 24/7, lobbying, spending hundreds of millions of dollars to create a super highway for the rich and powerful, and then the rest of us will be on a dirt road, an inaccessible dirt road on the internet that will take a long time to buffer and will be worse than being on public access TV. So Troma is, not only are we fighting these causes, but I've written 6 books, all of which have themes along the lines of support independent art and commerce and to keep the internet free, open, and diverse.
And you are also...
Boy, am I boring.
You also defend
to an extent, piracy as well on the internet.
Well, I don't think it. I don't. Piracy is when you. Well, first of all, I'm an expert on butt piracy, so I definitely defend that. But if you pardon the pun, I prefer to say sharing. Piracy means you're benefiting and making money from somebody else's art. That is not fair. But sharing art, if somebody wants to download a movie and share it with his, her, or its friend, I think that benefits the artist. The most valuable thing that somebody has is his, her, or its time. Time is very, very valuable, and if somebody is taking the time to share your art, I think you consider yourself lucky. I believe that the Toxic Avenger musical, which is, by the way, coming to Broadway, from what I understand, it played a year on off-Broadway. It had music by the Bon Jovi guy, David Bryan. That came about because we let people share our music. We let people share the Toxic Avenger. We let them put on the Toxic Avenger musical in Portland. We did not charge for the rights. We just let them basically share it, take it. And we also permitted another group to put on the Toxic Avenger musical, a different musical in Omaha, Nebraska, which caught the eye of these big-time Broadway producers who had produced Dirty Rotten Scoundrels on Broadway. And the next thing we know, we actually got a check. And we could end up getting lots of checks if the Toxic Avenger off-Broadway musical indeed does come to Broadway, and it looks pretty likely.
And you, not only do you give away the characters, but I've even seen on YouTube you appear in some of the musicals when you can. I've seen video of you doing a Cannibal the Musical play, and
I went down to Washington, but that was I think licensed from Jason McHugh, the producer. Again, we are only the distributors of Cannibal the Musical, and in terms of the licensing rights, that's all belongs to Trey and Matt and Jason McHugh. So I think in many cases they let people perform for free, but again, I don't get involved in that.
Probably for the best.
But I have performed in it. Yes, I did play a cameo, and I'm in about 200 movies because that helps the fledgling filmmakers to attract the Troma fans and perhaps sell some micro-budget movie DVDs.
Well, and you've helped so many artists from their infancy. And you look at James Gunn, I can't think of a better representation of someone who follows that Troma lifestyle all the way up into making his bigger budget movies. He still has a very Troma thought process with everything he does.
Well, James is certainly one of the most talented people to have ever crossed the Troma threshold, and Super, I think, is the best film of the year. I really loved it and have seen it multiple times, and I especially enjoy the performance of the 911 man. I don't know who he is, but he's very distinguished looking, and I would like to go out with him.
I think I saw him in a film called Orgasmo. I think he had a small part in that, too.
Oh, yeah, Orgasmo by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I think he might
have even been in Rocky. I mean, I feel like he's been in quite a few films.
Yeah, he's been in some big films, but mostly smaller films like Bloodbath of the House of Knives and Meat for Satan's Locker, and movies and of course Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead.
Now, speaking of Poultrygeist, that's the most recent of your directorial films, I believe. And it's personally, in my opinion, one of the best films in your history. With all the years that you guys have been doing these films, there's constantly growth in the film themselves. And I wanted to know, what film do you hold the most dear to your heart of all the ones that you've worked on?
I would say my foul movement, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. To me, that's the best experience of making a movie, and I think it is the best movie that Troma has produced and that I've directed. It's got the most interesting themes. It has the most interesting elements, namely singing and dancing, along with the sex and violence and chicken Indian zombies. And it is a profound and entertaining movie, which is what art should be. What the movies, artistic movies should both entertain and be profound and have some risk-taking. And I think Poultrygeist, in a fair world, in fact, Neville Dean and Taylor, who directed recently the reboot of Ghost Rider and put me into their Crank and what was the other? Gamer movie. They say in A Fair World, Poultrygeist would have been a huge hit if it had been distributed by one of the vassals of media conglomerates. That Poultrygeist would have done $200 million.
Well, and I know that there's talk about a Toxic the Avenger remake and talk of a Class of Nukem High remake, but I've also heard rumors that someone's interested in doing a remake of Poultrygeist, but I'm not sure how true that is.
Yes, we've had an offer, but it laid an egg, so we're a cracked egg. So we're kind of that isn't likely. But Toxic Avenger has been signed. Akiva Goldsman, Academy Award-winning writer of A Beautiful Mind and the director of the best movie ever made in history, Batman and Robin. He is leading the group that are remaking the Toxic Avenger, rebooting it, whatever, and they're going to make a PG-13, $100 million tentpole movie, as they call it. And Stephen Pink was hired to write and direct it. He did Hot Tub Time Machine and High Fidelity. He's incredibly talented. So hopefully it'll be a good remake. Meanwhile, we're writing Toxic Avenger Part 5. And slowly but surely, at some point, hopefully, I'll get a script that doesn't suck too much, and we'll make that. Class of Nukem High looks like that's got a better than 50-50 chance now. We've got a pretty good offer or deal in the making for a remake there. It hasn't been signed, but we've got two different entities, two different ways to do it, and. So I think that'll happen. Have you seen the Mother's Day remake, by the way?
I haven't seen the remake. I've seen the original. I love the original.
Yeah, the original's great. Charles Kaufman, my brother, did it. I think that's one of the best movies. I think that Eli Roth thinks that's Eli Roth's favorite horror film of all time. But and certainly an amazing movie. I have not seen the remake, but I hear it's really great. The interns at Troma have seen it, and they love it.
Well, I love that. Speaking of Eli, another name that started in Troma, I love that for no real explainable reason he is the commentary track for Blood-Sucking Freaks, despite the fact that he had really nothing to do with the production of the movie.
Well, when Eli Roth did the commentary track for the DVD of Blood-Sucking Freaks, he just asked to do it. You know, he'd been in Terra Firma, and we knew him. And Gabe Friedman was editing Citizen Toxie, and Gabe and Eli knew each other from NYU Film School. And Eli just asked to do it. And, I knew he was a major film fanatic. Yeah. So, I knew he would do a good job. So why not? Blood-Sucking Freaks. Why not have a smart person do the commentary? And it's great. I mean, Eli Roth's commentary on Blood-Sucking Freaks, even if you don't see the movie, it's worth. It's got history. It's got emotion. It's got wisdom. And Eli Roth's great. Also, in Direct Your Own Damn Movie DVD box set. You should just get that box set for Eli Roth's. There are 50 other directors on that box set, including me. But the Eli Roth wisdom is great, and inspiration. He's very inspirational.
Well, you can even see the influence that Blood-Sucking Freaks had on something like Hostel. Like that's the closest I think we've ever come to someone attempting to do another movie like Blood-Sucking Freaks.
Well, again, Mother's Day may have been a bigger influence on Eli, but he knows Mother's Day better than my brother, who wrote and directed it.
Now, I bought the Poultrygeist soundtrack at Comic-Con this year.
And you want your money back?
No,
sorry,
I
really
adore
apologize.
it.
Yeah, I love that.
What I'm confused by, and I wanted to ask you about, is that it looks like different people wrote each song that's in the movie, like musical-wise.
Well, the singing and dancing was all pretty much, the music was all written by Doogie Banners from Canada. And the lyrics were written by Gabe Friedman and me, or just Gabe Friedman. Some of the lyrics were written by Gabe alone, and others were written by Gabe and me. And Doogie may have written lyrics to one of the songs.
All right, because those songs are incredible. I specifically love your song in the film
the jig that I did, the Scottish jig.
The Scottish jig.
Oh, thank you.
My favorite song in the movie.
Thank you.
But I love the effect that Troma has on the punk music scene.
Well, if I may interrupt, a lot of the songs that are not singing and dancing, we had nothing to do with. They were just different bands. And by the way, fast breaking news, and nobody knows this yet. You're the first to hear it. Geekscape exclusive. Lemmy has just given us the new Motorhead song "Outlaw," which is going to be on his new album. It is going to be on the movie Mr. Bricks, directed by Travis Campbell, who edits Troma's movies now. And Mr. Bricks is a heavy metal murder musical, and you can see some clips from it on YouTube. It's just about finished, and Motorhead, as they have in the past, they gave us a wonderful song and didn't charge us, and they're the best. And
his
Lemmy's
song
amazing.
for Tromeo and Juliet might be one of my favorite songs Motorhead ever did.
Sacrifice,
Yeah.
and it works so beautifully. Well, wait till you see Outlaw blended into Mr. Bricks. Mr. Bricks is an amazing heavy metal murder musical starring Tim Dax, who I predict will be a major, major, major star. He's just moved out to L.A., and he's already got a job in he got an acting, a pretty big part in some major director's movie. I can't remember, but it's a big movie. He's a star. He's great, Tim Dax.
Well, and like I said, you have such a huge influence on the punk music scene. You appeared in the Punk Rock Holocaust movie. Newfound Glory is constantly throwing Troma references in their music.
Well, they
videos.
wrote the Poultry Guys. Newfound Glory wrote the under the name Calamari Safari. They wrote the Poultry Guys theme song, which is terrific. And Chad, if you were at Comic-Con, Chad and Jordan, right? Jordan were hanging out with. They were in the. They hung out with us in the Troma booth, and came to the Troma panel, and they're going to be very instrumental in. If I ever get a script for Toxie Part 5, the Toxic Twins, they'll be very important. And Chad's going to be. I hope he would like. Assuming right now, if I had the script ready, he'd be the music director. But who knows what'll happen? Hopefully he'll still be willing to do it by the time I get the script completed.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by, Lloyd. And as a personal thank you for staying true to your desire to make truly independent films for all these many, many years.
Well, it's only thanks to our fans and to Geekscape that we are still Troma after almost 40 years. So if you're listening, please support Troma. Go to www.troma.com and buy some of our Troma movies because they're blacklisted everywhere else except for maybe Amazon.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.